the Strength of America podcast.
Welcome to episode 26 of the Strength of America podcast. Bob Davis.
Bobby Davis.
I want to talk to you a little bit more about now with summer conditioning. The last one was about how to prepare and things going on. Now we're at the camp, what we need to do. And these are things that obviously coming into our camp, you know what to expect going in. If you're not in our area, can't get to our camp, here's things you want to look for in a camp that's going in for strength and conditioning. So I think one of the first things we talked about, which we did before, is we're going to send out things to you ahead of time so you know how to prepare, how to eat, how to everything else. But you show up day one, this is kind of what's going to happen day 1 and 2. First thing is you're going to show up with your food chart. And the fuel chart right there, you're going to have already filled out everything you've eaten and drank for one day. And you've already gone to calorieking.com. You've researched the calories, protein, carbs, all the content you need, and it's done and in. Not an excuse. It's not good to start out the day one with, well, I forgot the paper, or here I've got this. I only had a couple things. I couldn't find how many grams of protein in the Lucky Charms. Well, there's 0 and it's on the box. Okay. So lazy is not a real good thing. That's a real rough start. So fuel chart, we got to know where we're at to start with. And then again, depending on how you do it, you may be filling it out weekly, every week, a brand new one. And then once we know that you've learned the system and how to eat and do that, great, you're good to go. But that's a system to kind of build in. And if you don't learn how to eat, hydrate right off the bat, it's going to be a long, tough summer. So that's the first thing going on. Now, the next part is our strength training. What are some of the things with our weight training for our kids going into 7th grade on up, taking part in the strength part? What are they going to experience when they first come into the weight room?
That's a good question. A lot of my older kids will start off right off the bat going into a program. Generally, the first week, it's a teaching period. I'm having more and more that are with me now, so we don't have to worry as much about the teaching period. So sometimes I'll have kids that know what they're doing off the bat. They'll go right into it. And then sometimes I have some kids that are new and haven't done anything. So let's say I'm doing a squat in a circuit of exercises, for example. May have some older kids in that group. We'll have some groups throughout. If they're a younger one that is inexperienced, I'll just have them go with a dumbbell. You know, I want to see how they can squat and different things going on. And a lot of that, I don't worry too much about the body weight squat. I like when you put the dumbbell in their hands, it gets their core to activate. If they don't get tight, they'll tip forward. So right off the bat, it gets them thinking about how to tighten up in a faster pace and how to sit and stand through there. We can start working through some things. And a lot of times with the first day, we'll get a few sets through, and then their last set, I'll probably put them on a barbell or whatnot with the bar so they can start to feel. They're going to feel a little different how you sit and how you organize your body. But we're going to start the process of learning how to move and making sure we can move well before we get the weight loaded up and going. So
perfect. So we got squat. They're going to find out that. So they need to squat. And again, this whole thing, and we had a great question from the parents last week. We did a clinic, and one of the things they had to ask were, well, yeah, it's okay, but I've got my 13-year-old son. Is it okay for him to start lifting or not? We've got stuff at home. Look, since I've been doing this since 89, strength training is beneficial. 87, the Pediatrics Association, the Olympic Committee, several groups put together, it's beneficial for strength training. But again, there's a difference. You know, weightlifting, strength training, you know, their pediatrician told him, well, he shouldn't do any weightlifting yet. So already he didn't think he should. Well, we had to explain weightlifting is not what strength training is either. You know, we're not talking about powerlifting and all. It's using weights and we're lifting, but weightlifting is different than strength training. And again, all those things will make a big difference, just like powerlifting and all. Our main thing isn't we're going to get them under the bar and start working snatches right off the bat. We may not do it at all over the summer. It depends on the athletes and where they're at. But again, the basics, they've got to learn how to squat. What are some of the other lifts that we want to test and kind of see where they're at mechanics that they're going to see in the weight room? Bench press? What else?
Yeah, bench press is an easy one off the bat. Generally, if I have a kid that's going through a bench press and we're working through and they got one side that's way weaker, the other side's going up and the other side's down low as they're going, I'll know right off the bat they have an imbalance. So generally what I do, you know, if they're in a group, I'll keep them with the group. They're not in danger there. We'll just have the partner kind of help assist them through the movement, try to get the other side to drive first before so they can kind of organize their body. But then as they go out and through, I'll have them each day finish off with a few sets of a one-arm dumbbell bench, and they're going to do it on their weak side. That way they can try to bring it up as the process goes about. So don't want to exclude them and have them go outside. They're not in any danger there. They're learning the lift at the same time, but then we also get extra work on the back end. So it'll be things like that. There'll be hinges and different things, whether it's RDL, one-leg RDLs. A lot of that will start them off even as simple as a sandbag or a dumbbell. It's kind of easy, and we can get them to start thinking about how to organize their spine and keep tight as they hinge and move and load their hamstrings. So they're all going to be doing similar movements. It just may be with different implements as they go through. And I'm not a big on We just don't have the time and the resources to do so many different assessments. So I like to watch them move. When they go in and move, I'm not going to load them up and then ask them to move. We're going to get them with a very light weight and see how they move, and it'll tell right away. Then I can assess and see, all right, here's what you need to do a little bit extra. It may be something to where we can plug in a little bit on this time, but then you're going to have to do some homework on your time. That way you can start getting that body up and rolling. It's kind of like the fuel charts and all. Also, you have to make sure when you come to camp that you're ready to succeed on the first day. If you're not prepared, and you didn't go through that fuel chart and all that, you can already do some simple learning from the fuel chart just by going through it. You can say, okay, before I hit Sunday, I should probably clean up some of this stuff, because you can tell what's good or bad, right off the bat on your own. And then we can help you with some of the more complex stuff as we go. But you got to be ready to set yourself up for success. So that's what we're doing in here when we watch them move and different things like that. We're trying to get them in the right position, get them moving right, and then they'll have some homework they're going to have to do on their own to kind of bring themselves up.
Well, and I think that, as you're hearing Bobby talk about that, our main foundation always been for these athletes is teach them how to do this. We're looking for things. We're not only teaching them how to squat and how to do a clean, but our bigger part is where do we see weaknesses? And when Bobby's talking about doing single arm things and stuff, we see, how often do you see that in your weight room? That the coach is working with on that part. We're all under the bench press. We get it. We load it up, and we just start cranking it out. Well, how many of you guys see they're going up and they've got one arm going a little bit more? Or as they do that bench, you got one arm tucked into the side. They don't even notice they've got one arm out and one in. So those things are opening up some real problems through the shoulders, rotator cuff, back. That's what we're doing, is to evaluate and figure that out. Yes, the summertime is about, let's put some more meat on, let's with strength, let's get really strong to handle the stress coming up. However, that's also a great time to work on the mechanics of how you do those lifts, because I can tell you in the school year, those guys in the normal junior high and high school weight room, how many guys do you have in there working out with you? Sometimes you got 40, 50, 60 guys in there working out. You got a weight room in the summertime, you've got a dozen kids, you can sure work a whole lot more on the mechanics and find those areas they need to work on. And it's about preparing that body to go. So that's a foundation. We're going to go into more on the weight training on the next episode, because I want to break down, because we get more questions on, the squats, and there's questions, sure, I could be doing squats, and how do we do that? What about cleans? We're going to break some of these main lifts down for you so you can see the mechanics and why, and how Bobby and I teach some of these things for it. So that's a big part. So that covers the strength part. We're going to go through that and all. So it's about evaluation. The quicker they adapt to it and figure it out, yes, we'll be progressing weights and building it up. But we're also not on one rep max. We're not going to load them up, have them do one rep. Doesn't matter. We're wanting to do that. We can figure out where they're using it. We're going to work the reps. But it's the mechanics and teaching them. Some of them will be taking 3-4 weeks to learn some of the mechanics of it. That's fine. We want them healthy. That's the idea. Some will adapt after a couple of days or a couple of sets. They'll start figuring it out, snapping, and we'll start moving. So as they focus, they're there. And again, with eating and hydrating and sleeping, their mind's going to work better. Their body's going to.
Yeah, and that's another thing. As we go through the weightlifting and all, sometimes we get worried. We're like, well, we're doing all this time trying to do all this other stuff to get them moving better, and they're just not getting strong. And maybe we have a 7-week summer camp, and that's part of our obligation by them to come to our camp, is to get stronger. But I think when we realize, if we take that time at the beginning, if we get them moving right, using the right muscles, there are other times their jumps, their sprints, a lot of that stuff's going to go up just from moving better. They're loading the right muscles, using the right muscles. If we're in bad patterns and loading and using the wrong muscles, it's only a matter of time before, something starts to get irritated, some issues start to arise and different things like that, and you're not going to be moving efficiently. Okay, so it's not efficient, it's not optimal as we're going through. So definitely as we're going, take that time. You can still challenge them. Like, let's say I'm doing a squat and the kid's just not getting a back squat for some reason. And maybe when I have them load up a heavy dumbbell, they got it, or like a sandbag or landmine. Maybe I'm going to find something that they're just going to stick with, and they're just going to progressively overload over a period of time. And if they move well, they're great. If they just can't, for some reason, mobility-wise, do the back squat, we'll have them work on that as their homework, but we'll find something that we can get them strong and keep them in a good movement and building it. So,
like the trap bars or something. We'll find something, because again, we got some of these guys. Let's find work on our wrestlers that aren't that tall. And I used to be taller, but not anymore. But anyway, we're vertically challenged as wrestlers. We're basketball players. You get some of these guys that are 6'4", 6'6", trying to get under a rack to squat and do things. Just the mechanics in the body and where they're at. Instead of taking all summer to work on a back squat, we can get mechanics. We'll still work that, but we can load them with a trap bar and really work that right off the bat, and we'll start loading and building the strength and adapting. So we'll find a way. I don't want you to get the idea that this is soft or we're going to work around this. And yeah, it's injury prevention and we're trying to stabilize and find things. but they will work and they will get stronger over the summer.
Again, our job is to get them to be better movers for you guys and different things. That way they're more successful on their field of play. So, and we also got to think about, when you talk about the trap bars, you know, if they're a really tall person, it doesn't mean they can't go from the ground, but we can start them out in a rack and do a rack pull with it. Some of them, their deadlift height is like a short guy's deadlift height. You know what I mean? So when you put it on a rack, it makes it a little more of an equal playing field. They can put it on top of bumpers to raise it. You know, the squat, it's something that we're not saying that you can't get their depth and mobility. You can, you just have to work on it. So keep that in mind if you are basketball and things like that. You know, you just got to make sure you're doing some homework, watching your ankle mobility, some different things from hips and T-spine and stuff like that. You got to start checking your body out and working on some of that stuff. So
perfect. Fuel chart, weight room, those kind of things checked off right away day one. Next thing we're going to do day one is now your time for our speed and core classes, speed power stuff that we're working into it. So what are we going to do? We're going to test you on our 10, 20, and 40-yard time. They all want to know the 40, even though it doesn't make that big a difference for most of them out there, but they want to know it. That's great. It's about that start, moving out. So our 10, 20, and 40. What are some of the other tests we check on? Speed and agility.
Pro agility, that's our more rehearsed change of direction drill. They're going, and we're just seeing how they can move and how efficiently. After that, we'll have our broad jump, standing broad jump test to test horizontal power, vertical jump standing to go up, and also got our weight and waist in there too. So there's a variety of different things there. And you know, 10, 20, 40, whether or not it's a big thing that we're really worried about, or a cone rehearsed agility drill, maybe it's not, but it allows us to track improvement and monitor if they're more efficient movers. You know, there's things outside of testing that we're going to do that's going to be better for their sports, but we got to realize we got to have some sort of data that we can give you guys, and we can also give ourselves to track and monitor progress. And for the kids, you know, they want to see that they're getting better. And a lot of times they can tell us, you know what, when I'm on the field or whatever it is, I can just feel myself moving better and faster. But on top of the field, they can also get a physical too. So it's cool. And they enjoy the atmosphere of testing too and competing. So
yeah, they root each other on, keep that part. It's exciting. Good. So that's the other part is, you know, for we talk about for the kids. You know, it's important for the coaches to see, and the parents want to see, okay, the parents should get their money worth, the kids get better and all that. And yeah, they do every year. Kids are always getting better. However, what we look for with our kids is it works on two things. We're going to get their pre-testing on everything, and at the end of the summer, they get a post-testing as well. So they can look at that chart. They'll get back that says, okay, Johnny, here's what his vertical jump, his speed, agility, and at the end of the summer, here's where he finished up. So they'll get to see his progress, how much faster he is on his speed, what he did on vertical jump and all. And then for us, then we put an average for the class on there also, because it's important for us to understand, and the kids, okay, now your effort, you got better, which is great. But did you really put maximum effort into all the drills we worked on all summer, or just some, or you really liked on that? Or just in testing time, instead of our power stuff on our boxes and everything else, did you really push the ground away? Did you create power, or did you just jump around? So they'll get to see, are they above average or below average for that group on their improvement? So just being better isn't good enough. We want them better than average. We want them all working to get better as they go along. And then the last part for us we use every year is we sit down at the end of the summer and go, okay, great. Here's what we did. Here's what's going on. Did we achieve our goals and what we wanted those kids to get with their speed improvements and their power and everything? If we hit it, if not, why, or what was going on? How do we keep improving? Because I can tell you, after 29 years of doing Strength of America, plus my time, 4 years at Nebraska, you have to do that each year, because you can't just stick with the same program. You've got to keep progressing. Now, we've always got a base program that we do because it's worked, but you've got to keep advancing. And we'll have some of those kids that just, this is going to be brand new to them. So the basics are going to cover everything they need. And those other ones that have been training already and going, we need a little bit more. Doesn't mean they have total different programs, but just like our boxes, we may have a 6, a 12, or an 18-inch box they do works off. And our bigger kids, I've got some high school guys that aren't using the 18-inch box. Big guys going out there, they've got good strength, but they don't have good power. They can't react and move. And if they're coming off that and they collapse, what's the point? So we're working with a smaller, get the reaction, get the nervous system moving, then we progress them as we go. So it doesn't matter age or anything else. It's about their ability and what they can do. And we'll challenge them. We definitely will challenge them, always will. But we want to get them to understand what they need to do, what their job is as an athlete to take responsibility and get to that next point.
I think the biggest thing from that is just we're trying to get them to drive and intent and purpose in everything that they're doing. You know, don't want them to go out and waste their time or their efforts for themselves, their family, or their teammates. Just making sure that when they step out there, you know, they did everything that they could. We're trying to give them the tools to help them do that. So,
yeah, and that, you know, for them, I just want them, the more they understand why, we want them asking questions, want them to figure it out. But we do a lot of explaining as we go too, because, you know, if they don't understand, it's hard to go. It's just somebody else telling them what to do. Now there's a point I'll just tell them because I've said that, and I've told you 3 times, if Bob says do it, that's okay. But we want them to understand why, and they understand the mechanics and why, and some are going to get after that and some don't. And we'll have some that'll get it from what we're talking about. But we tell them their main job is every time they're waiting in line to do a drill on our speed work, if they're not going, their job is to watch the other ones moving. They're going to pick up a lot by watching those drills. If they're in a group row of 3 deep and they're the second and third guy, we're going to watch that rep. They may do each thing 3 times, but if they're watching everybody, they're going to start seeing 6 and 9 reps in their head. They're going to start picking it up a lot faster. That's what we want, them getting adapted faster, moving on as we progress it along. And as they go, we may still ramp it up. We always have a plan A, but then we have some that either can't keep at that level or some need to go a little bit more. Then we adjust the B and C levels so that everybody's always getting adapted and they'll move through and progress as we go. So, awesome. All right. Yeah, main things going on. So we'll have links below for the fuel chart again. So if you can make it at camp, you'll already be emailed that when we get ready for camp. If you're not in our area, you want to see what it is, you'll have that as well as our guidelines going out, our fuel guidelines on how often to eat, some idea of portions and size, things that you can have as well so you can get ready for your summer camps going out wherever they are. If you're a football player, we also have a free 30-day speed agility program, video program that we put together for you. So I'll have that link as well. And the email, theSOApodcast@gmail.com, about topics you want to see, questions about camps, questions about lifting, whatever it is related to athletic performance. Let us know. We want to help.
Awesome. No, that's great. Hopefully we'll see you out there. If not, don't be afraid to ask questions. Use this. We want to help as many people as we can.
Yeah. So part of the Strength of America family, whether you're here in the Chandler area to get to it or you're up in Alaska, it doesn't make any difference. You want to get better, we're here to help you and give the experience. So please tag a friend that's getting ready for summer camps, whether they're here or not, so they can see the information, get it out, ask questions, and let us know. We can help look for the next episode. We're going to devote a little bit more time to the strength part of it and show you some of the exercise drills and our progressions that we lead into it as well. All right. Thanks a lot.
Have a good day. See ya.